You know, when it rains, I'm kind of happy, and I don't know that it was like that before when I was living out east, you know, in the National Capital Region of both Quebec and Ontario when I was younger. And I think what makes me happy with the rain is just having lived on Vancouver Island a long time, and just the rain somehow is linked to my personal development over there, which makes me happy to think about, because even a year after I'd been there, although I was still in pretty rough shape, like still in a depression and had anxiety issues, and I visited my ex after getting hurt on the West Coast Trail, where I couldn't continue. I took the rest of time that I had to go and visit my ex in Toronto, and after that she asked me to go live with her. We had a good visit after we had, you know, not seen each other for a year, and but you know, it kind of, I talked to her for quite a while when she gave me the offer, when she was losing a roommate, to have me go replace her and try again, and that was pretty courageous of her, and I appreciate her for that, because she's got a lot of issues from her past, and I don't think she pursued personal development, that my refusal, which was the right choice for me, and her too, but she might never realize, would cause her even more, you know, to require her to do her own personal development. But I decided to stay, even though I'd only done, you know, very slight improvements on the first year. But every year was better with my improvements in self-actualization and understanding of my own self and of the human condition year after year on Vancouver Island. So I think the rain's linked to that, because you know, it reminds me of being outdoors and good times outdoors, and just seeing the years get better, and then eventually seeing that the human condition wasn't getting better, and choosing to leave for those reasons, and noticing patterns, you know, without even needing to travel the world, and but still doing it just to collect more data on my theories. And for example, you're going to say, this is horrible for me to say this, but it's measurable. And, you know, it can be themselves that do their own science. For example, the Filipino women, let's say, who already have or want to have kids, although it's very rare to hear someone, and you can measure this compared to others, including in times where the Philippines or even the world is getting more challenging and not a good idea to bring kids into, is when they choose, let's say, in their family planning, a male is all they want is a sperm and a paycheck. Sperm and a paycheck. That's pretty much the only criteria. And it makes me sad. It's one of the reasons I left as well, many reasons. Vancouver Island is just still the trauma of having proven myself a good father figure, role model for a lot of youths there, including Filipinos. But parents, you know, passive men and women who just don't realize, you know, what family values are, and what relationship skills are, and how they take work. They don't come when you turn a certain age through a miracle, right? So it makes me very sad, and it makes me very sad, like I'm listening to a documentary on Democracy Now! That talks about the movie about what happened in Argentina in 1985, and the guy that did the movie was talking about an actor who actually had gone to school, didn't finish the rest of it, so I can't tell you all the details, but with one of the victims who had given birth, I think, in a very challenging situation. You know, and it made me start to cry, and I realized there's so many people that have compassion or sympathy or altruism or sentience, but after the fact. And that's a growing phenomenon that my theory predicts as well, that we can discuss, hey, if you make those choices, Filipino moms or would-be moms, this is what's going to happen. This is how your kids are going to suffer. And they do it anyways. And the sympathy after the fact is not a sign of sentience or sapience. And it's a growing thing among us. And we use the after the fact to think we're great people, when really we're great villains as a majority when we don't discuss this. The patterns in the news right now are related to this. They're related to, let's say I screen out climate emergency related news, but maybe include how people respond to it, what news channels or politicians talk about or not talk about. You know, we discover ExxonMobil knew of things decade in advance that was incredibly precise with what is happening now that is having destructive effects on people's lives. How, you know, curious George Santos is still, you know, he's still not been arrested, you know, and how democracy, people fight for it, but they don't fight for the fact that you must be educated as a population for in the truth, and there must be accountability for democracy to work. So again, it's not the right conversations. It's all after the fact. It's all the false image that the species I belong to has sentience and sapience, and that false image is more and more what people settle into, which again, you know, is why I cry many, many times.